Captain Elias Carter leaned back in his chair, staring at the blinking red light on the ship's console. The distress signal had been repeating for over 10 minutes now. It was faint, coming from deep space near the wreckage of an abandoned station. Most captains would ignore it. Too risky, too many unknowns. But Elias was not like most captains. Still no response, he asked. His communications officer, Jenna Lee, shook her head. No reply. But the signal is weak. Whoever sent it might not have enough power left. Elias glanced at his crew. They were salvagers, not heroes. Their ship, the Ironclad, was built for collecting old ship parts and selling them. Rescuing unknown life forms wasn't in the job description. We shouldn't get involved, said Malik, the pilot. Could be a trap. Pirates use fake distress calls all the time. Elias nodded. It was a real possibility. But something about the signal felt different. A desperate plea lost in the void. We do a quick scan, Elias decided. No risks. If it's trouble, we leave. The Ironclad drifted closer to the signal source. As the wreckage of the old station came into view, a small floating object appeared on the scanner. Jenna zoomed in. It's an escape pod, she said. Badly damaged. Life signs are weak, but someone's alive in there. Elias didn't hesitate. Bring it in. Minutes later, the pod was in their cargo bay. The crew gathered as the medic, Dr. Ramirez, forced the pod open. A cloud of cold mist escaped, revealing a figure inside. A woman, barely conscious. She wasn't human. Her skin was a soft silver blue, her eyes large and glowing faintly. She wore a torn jumpsuit, and strange symbols ran along her arm. Despite her injuries, she tried to sit up, but collapsed in exhaustion. She's an alien, Malik muttered. What the hell was she doing out here alone? Dr. Ramirez quickly checked her vitals. She's dehydrated and weak, but she'll live. She needs medical care. Elias crouched beside the alien woman. Her lips moved, trying to form words. He leaned in closer. Please, she whispered in a trembling voice. Help me. They're coming. A cold feeling settled in Elias' chest. Who's coming? He asked. Before she could answer, the ship's alarm blared. Jenna's voice came through the intercom. Captain, we've got incoming ships, fast and heavily armed. Elias stood up. He had been right. The distress signal was different. This wasn't a simple rescue. This woman was running from something. Something dangerous. And now, that danger was coming for them. Get us out of here, Elias ordered. Now. As the ship powered up, the alien woman clutched his arm, her eyes filled with fear. You don't understand, she whispered. If they catch me, they'll destroy everything. Elias knew then, saving her was only the beginning. The Ironclad sped toward the Trion Nebula, its engines burning hot. Behind them, the Corthan patrol ship was left drifting in the debris field, but Elias knew they weren't safe yet. Inside the cockpit, Malik gripped the controls tightly. Ahead of them, the nebula swirled like a giant storm of blue and violet gas, crackling with electrical energy. Jenna's voice was tense. Entering the nebula in 5, 4, 3. The moment they crossed the threshold, the ship trembled violently. Static energy danced across the hull, and the lights flickered. Malik cursed. The storm's messing with our systems. Engines are struggling. Elias braced himself. Hold her steady. We just need to push through. Kailana studied the navigation screen. The resistance base is deep inside. We must follow a safe path through the ion currents. Jenna frowned. Problem. Our sensors are barely working. We're flying blind. Kailana closed her eyes for a moment. Trust me. I have been here before. She pointed at the screen. Go left. Now. Malik hesitated, then yanked the controls left. A second later, a massive energy surge exploded where they had just been. His eyes widened. Okay, I'm listening. The ship weaved through the nebula. guided by Kailana's directions. Every few seconds, bright arcs of lightning flashed around them. Dwayne checked the rear scanner. No signs of pursuit. The storm must have blocked their tracking. Elias let out a breath. Good. Now let's find the resistance. Minutes later, Kailana motioned toward the screen. There. That asteroid cluster. The base is hidden inside. Malik carefully maneuvered the ship through the rocky terrain. As they approached a large asteroid, a deep voice crackled over the radio. Unknown vessel, you are entering restricted space. Identify yourself. Kailana leaned forward. This is Kailana of Averine. I seek refuge and bring urgent intelligence. A long silence followed. Then, proceed to docking bay 3. The crew exchanged glances. Elias nodded. Let's hope they're friendly. As the ship landed inside the hidden hangar, resistance fighters surrounded them, weapons raised. A tall, battle-scarred alien stepped forward, his golden eyes studying them. I am Commander Rail, he said. You bring trouble to our doorstep, Kailana. She stepped forward. I bring something more important. Proof of the Korthan's ultimate weapon. Rail's expression darkened. Then we need to talk. Elias and his crew followed them deeper into the base, knowing they had just stepped into something much bigger than they had ever imagined. And the real fight was only beginning. The ironclad drifted through deep space, hidden among a convoy of cargo haulers. The Korthan research facility, Voidpiercer, loomed in the distance, a monstrous station orbiting a dying star, its surface covered in weapons and defense systems. Inside the ship, Elias and his crew prepared for the mission. Everyone wore dark infiltration suits, weapons strapped to their sides. Malik adjusted his gloves. I still think this is a crazy plan. Jenna smirked. All the best plans are. Kailana stood by the holotable, pointing at the schematics. We will use a stolen clearance code to dock in their supply bay. Once inside, we need to move fast. The power core is located in the lower levels. We sabotage the stabilizers, overload the system, and escape before the station blows. Dwayne loaded his rifle. And if they catch us? Elias gave a grim smile. Then we make them regret it. The comms crackled. Commander Rail's voice came through. You're clear for approach. Remember, stealth is key. Elias nodded. Copy that. He turned to Malik. Take us in. The ironclad glided toward the Voidpiercer, blending with the cargo haulers. The stolen clearance code worked. No alarms, no suspicion. The docking bay doors opened, and they slipped inside. As soon as the ship landed, Elias led his team down the ramp. The docking area was dimly lit, crates stacked high, a few Korthan guards patrolling. Jenna whispered, We take them out quietly. Elias signaled, and the team moved like shadows. Dwayne crept behind one guard, knocking him out with a stun baton. Kailana disabled a security camera. Elias took out the last guard with a quick, silent strike. Clear, Malik muttered. Kailana checked the map. The power core is below us. There's an access lift this way. They slipped through the corridors, avoiding patrols. The deeper they went, the hotter the air became. Finally, they reached the power core chamber, a massive room filled with humming machinery and glowing energy conduits. Jenna pulled out a device. Setting the overload timer, we'll have 10 minutes to escape. Kailana worked fast, disabling the stabilizers. The lights flickered. The station groaned. Elias' earpiece buzzed. It was Rail. Hurry. The Korthans just detected the anomaly. Troops are coming your way. Dwayne cursed. Looks like we won't be leaving quietly. The doors burst open, and Korthan soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. Elias pulled his gun. Time to fight. Laser fire erupted. The crew took cover behind consoles, returning fire. Kailana ducked low, finishing the last override. The station trembled, power surging out of control. Jenna shouted, Timer is running. We need to go, now. Elias fired a final shot, then yelled, Move. Get to the ship. With alarms blaring and explosions starting, the team ran for their lives. The station was about to blow. The ironclad moved slowly through the Vargas Belt, its exterior modified with scavenged plating to look like an ordinary merchant ship. Inside the cockpit, Malik kept his hands steady on the controls, eyes locked on the radar. No signs of patrols yet, Jenna said, tapping at her console. Maybe we got lucky. Elias didn't believe in luck. Stay alert. The Korthans are hunters. They don't stop tracking their prey. Kailana sat beside him, her fingers gripping the edge of the console. If we can make it past this checkpoint, we'll have a clear path to the Trion Nebula. Malik exhaled. Let's hope our disguise holds up. For a few minutes, everything seemed quiet. Too quiet. Then, Jenna's screen flashed red. Damn it, she cursed. We've got company. Korthan warship, moving fast. Elias' heart pounded. Did they scan us? Not yet, Jenna said. They might think we're just another cargo ship. Kailana shook her head. They won't take chances. If they suspect anything, they'll destroy us first and ask questions later. Malik clenched his jaw. We running or bluffing? Elias made a quick decision. Bluff first. If that fails, we run like hell. Jenna opened the comms channel. A deep, menacing voice crackled through the speakers. Unidentified vessel. This is Korthan patrol ship Bloodfang. Transmit your clearance codes now. Elias motioned to Jenna. She activated a pre-programmed code, stolen from an old merchant vessel. A few tense seconds passed before the Korthan voice returned. Your codes are outdated. Prepare for boarding. Kailana's face went pale. They know. Elias didn't hesitate. Malik, full speed, now. The ironclad roared as its engines fired up. The Korthan warship reacted instantly, red laser blasts cutting through space behind them. The ship rocked violently as the crew struggled to stay on their feet. We can't outrun them forever, Malik shouted. Elias gritted his teeth. We don't need to. We just have to make it to the nebula. Kailana studied the map. There's a debris field ahead. If we weave through it, they might lose us. Malik's eyes widened. That's insane. Elias clapped him on the shoulder. Then it's perfect. Do it. The ironclad dove into the debris field, twisting between shattered shipwrecks and floating metal. The Korthans followed, but their larger warships struggled to maneuver. They're losing ground, Jenna yelled. Elias smirked. Time to give them a gift. Dwayne, drop an explosive charge behind us. Dwayne pressed a button. A small, modified mine drifted out of the cargo bay. Moments later, boom! The explosion sent debris flying, slamming into the Korthan ship's hull. They're disabled. Jenna cheered. Malik grinned, pushing the ship forward. Next stop, the Trion Nebula. As the ironclad disappeared into the storm, Elias knew one thing for sure. The Korthans wouldn't forget this, and next time, they wouldn't just send one ship. They'd send an army. The ironclad shook violently as it sped away from the wreckage. The enemy ships were closing in fast. Malik, the pilot, cursed under his breath as he pushed the engines to their limit. They're gaining on us, Jenna shouted from the control panel. Captain Elias Carter tightened his grip on his chair. He turned to his weapons officer, Dwayne. Do we have anything to slow them down? Dwayne shook his head. We're a salvage ship, not a war vessel. We don't have the firepower to fight them. Elias glanced at the alien woman, who was still weak but awake. Her silver-blue skin looked even paler under the dim lights of the medbay. Dr. Ramirez had given her some fluids, but she was still struggling to breathe properly. Who are they? Elias asked her. Why are they after you? She tried to sit up, wincing in pain. They are Korthans, she said in a hoarse voice. A ruthless empire. They will kill anyone who stands in their way. Elias had heard stories about the Korthans. They were a brutal race, expanding their territory through war and destruction. But why would they chase one lone survivor across the galaxy? What do they want from you? Elias pressed. The woman's glowing eyes locked onto his. They want to erase the truth. Before Elias could ask more, the ship rocked again. Malik swore loudly. They're locking missiles on us. Elias made a quick decision. Jenna, drop some debris behind us. Make it look like we exploded. Jenna's fingers flew over the controls. Dumping scrap. Now. A large cloud of metal fragments and broken ship parts spilled out from the cargo bay. The Corthan ships, moving at high speed, rushed straight into the debris field. Sensors beeped wildly as explosions flashed behind them. It worked. Malik yelled. They lost us. For now. Elias let out a breath. Good. But we won't be safe for long. We need to get somewhere secure. The alien woman took a deep breath, steadying herself. My name is Kailana, she said. I am a scientist from the Averine people. I was part of a research team that discovered a terrible secret about the Corthan Dominion. What secret? Elias asked. Kailana hesitated. They have built a weapon so powerful it can wipe out entire planets in seconds. Silence filled the room. Even Jenna, Malik, and Dwayne turned to stare at her. Elias frowned. And you have proof? Kailana nodded. Yes, and that's why they want me dead. If this information reaches the wrong hands, it could start a war. Elias exhaled slowly. He had been expecting trouble, but this was far worse than he imagined. He looked at his crew. We just went from salvagers to fugitives. Then he turned back to Kailana. We saved your life. Now tell us, what do we do next? The ironclad soared through deep space, leaving the burning wreckage of the Void Piercer behind. The crew sat in silence, exhaustion settling over them. The mission had been a success, but Elias knew it was only the beginning. Jenna checked the scanners. No Corthan ships on our tail, yet. Kailana leaned forward, her golden eyes filled with relief. We destroyed their weapon. This will set them back for years. Malik stretched his arms. Maybe they'll think twice before messing with us. Elias wasn't so sure. He looked at the fading explosion on the screen. The Corthans don't give up. They'll come back. Angrier and deadlier. Dwayne grinned. Then we'll just blow up their next plan too. Kailana shook her head. This was only one battle. The war isn't over. The comms crackled to life. Ironclad, this is Commander Rail. You did it. Elias responded. The station's gone. The weapon is destroyed. Rail's voice held admiration. The Resistance owes you a great debt. Meet us at the rendezvous point. We have much to discuss. Elias looked at his crew. What do you say? Ready for another fight? Jenna smirked. Wouldn't have it any other way. Malik punched the ship's thrusters. Let's go. As the ironclad disappeared into the vast unknown, Elias knew one thing. Humanity had just changed the fate of the galaxy. And this was only the beginning. The ironclad floated in the darkness of space, hidden within the asteroid field. Inside, the crew gathered in the war room, tension thick in the air. Captain Elias Carter leaned over the table, studying a holographic star map. Kailana stood beside him, her glowing eyes scanning the possible routes of escape. The Corthans will search every system, Kailana said. If we want to reach the Resistance, we need to move fast. Elias rubbed his chin. Where's the Resistance base? Kailana hesitated. They have multiple hideouts, but the safest one is in the Trion Nebula. It's hidden deep inside an ion storm, impossible to track from a distance. Malik, the pilot, let out a low whistle. Flying through an ion storm. That's suicide. It's our best chance, Kailana insisted. The Corthans won't risk sending their warships into it. Jenna crossed her arms. That doesn't mean we'll survive either. Elias exhaled, looking at his crew. We don't have many choices. Dwayne, the weapons officer, leaned forward. Captain, we don't owe anyone this fight. We're salvagers, not soldiers. The Korthans don't even know humans exist properly yet. Do we really want to put Earth on their radar? Elias glanced at Kailana. She had nowhere else to go. If they abandoned her now, she would be dead within days, and the Korthans would continue their plan, wiping out worlds one by one. We're not turning back, Elias said firmly. We might not be soldiers, but that doesn't mean we run from a fight when it matters. The room fell silent. Malik sighed. I knew you were gonna say that. Jenna smirked. Same. Dwayne shook his head but grinned. Guess I better check the guns, then. Elias turned back to Kailana. How do we get to the nebula without being caught? Kailana tapped on the holomap. There's a trade route here, near the Farges Belt. If we disguise ourselves as a merchant ship, we can slip past Korthan patrols. Disguise? Jenna raised an eyebrow. We're a junker ship. Who are we fooling? Kailana gave a small smile. Junker ships are the best smugglers. Elias grinned. I like how you think. Malik powered up the ship's engines. All right, let's play space pirates. As the ironclad moved out of the asteroid field, the crew braced for what was coming. They had just made a choice that could change the fate of the galaxy. If the disguise worked, they would reach the resistance safely. If it failed, the Korthans would know exactly who they were, and they would not stop hunting them. The underground base was carved deep into the asteroid, hidden from Korthan scanners. The dim corridors buzzed with the hum of old generators, and resistance fighters moved quickly, their eyes filled with wariness. Elias and his crew followed Kailana and Commander Rail into a secured war room. A large holographic display in the center showed the Korthan Dominion's expanding territory, red zones spreading like a disease across the galaxy. Rail crossed his arms. If what you say is true, Kailana, then the Korthans are close to completing their planet killer weapon. His golden eyes narrowed. Do you have proof? Kailana reached into her suit and pulled out a small silver data chip. All the information is here. Weapon schematics, testing logs, and their primary research facility's location. Rail took the chip and inserted it into the console. The hologram flickered, showing the Void Piercer, a massive, dark station orbiting a dying star. The design was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Jenna sucked in a breath. That thing looks unnatural. Dwayne frowned. And deadly. Rail studied the data. Their research facility is heavily guarded. Assaulting it directly would be suicide. Elias crossed his arms. So what's the plan? Rail looked at Kailana. You worked on this research. Is there a weakness? Kailana hesitated, then pointed at a section of the station. The power core. The weapon draws energy from the star. If we disable the stabilizers, the energy will overload, destroying the station. Malik whistled. Sounds easy, except for the part where we have to sneak into a Korthan death fortress. Rail nodded. That's why we need a small strike team. He looked at Elias. You and your crew have already outrun the Korthans. Will you help us? Elias looked at his crew. They had started this as salvagers, but now they were standing at the edge of a war. He exhaled. We didn't come this far just to run. He looked at Rail. We're in. Rail gave a rare smile. Then we move fast. We'll infiltrate the facility before the Korthans launch the weapon. Kailana's voice was firm. We don't have much time. Elias clenched his fists. The mission was dangerous, but if they failed, entire worlds would be lost. He looked at his crew one last time. Let's get to work. The ironclad drifted in the shadows of a dense asteroid field, hidden from scanners. Inside the ship, Captain Elias Carter stood with arms crossed, staring at Kailana. The alien woman sat on the med bay bed, looking stronger now, but her face was still filled with fear. You said the Korthans built a planet-killer weapon, Elias said. What kind of weapon are we talking about? Kailana took a deep breath. It's called the Void Piercer, she said. It doesn't just destroy planets, it erases them, Nothing is left behind. No debris, no ruins. Just emptiness. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Even Dwayne, who rarely showed fear, looked unsettled. "How do you know this?" Jenna asked. "I was a researcher on the Averine Science Station, Vallis Prime," Kailana explained. "We intercepted secret Corthan transmissions. They were testing the weapon on uninhabited moons. When I saw the data, I knew, if they completed this project, no one would be able to stop them." Elias ran a hand through his hair. "And you stole this information?" Kailana nodded. "I copied everything onto a secure data chip, but before I could transmit it, the Corthans attacked. They wiped out my station. I was the only one who escaped." Silence filled the room. The weight of her words settled over them like a heavy storm. "So let me get this straight," Malik said, rubbing his temples. "You have the only proof that the Corthans are building a doomsday weapon. They destroyed your station to cover it up. And now, they're hunting you across the galaxy." Kailana nodded again. "If they find me, they will kill me. And they will never stop." Elias exhaled. He had dealt with dangerous situations before: pirates, corrupt officials, and space smugglers. But this was different. "Captain," Jenna said, hesitating, "maybe we should hand her over to someone who can help. The Galactic Council, maybe." "No," Kailana said quickly. "The Council is slow, full of politics and bureaucracy. By the time they act, the Corthans will have already used the weapon." "She's right," Elias muttered. "And if the Corthans find out where she is, they'll wipe out anyone who helps her." Kailana's glowing eyes met his. "You saved my life, Captain. But I won't force you to risk yours. If you drop me off at the nearest station, I'll understand." Elias studied her for a moment. He could leave this behind, pretend he never got involved. But that wasn't who he was. He turned to his crew. "If the Corthans finish this weapon, no one is safe. Not Averine. Not humans. No one." His voice hardened. "We can't ignore this." Malik groaned. "I knew you were going to say that." Elias looked back at Kailana. "We're in this now. What's our next move?" Kailana's lips parted slightly, surprised. Then, for the first time, she gave a small, hopeful smile. "We find the resistance," she said, "before it's too late."